It is September 29th, and last time I looked, I was really messing around with a bunch of babies, and we didn't know whether they were going to make it or not. Well, you ready? You ready for this? Check these out. Oh my god. The Yodfa broccoli. Standing up on its own. My god, I actually had to cut off a leaf off the side because it was shading the Asian greens. A little bok choy is going nuts. Lots and lots of leaves. The greens, the Shiji Masai greens, yes, I finally learned how to say it, Shiji Masai. Greens are still kind of small, but they are growing. I have one of my new little button drippers on them. And you'll notice I put it in a pot with rock just to see if it would grow. And what do you know? It's growing. The mustard, which was being shaded by the eggplant, is now well on its way. It did survive my abuse and the dunking into. There is nothing but a window screen in between it, but it is receiving lots of water and nutrients. I'm not going to talk about that yet. Here's the basil. The basil and this freaking awful perlite. I hate it. Now the algae isn't actually doing the basil any harm. However, it's disgusting. It looks disgusting. And I'm pretty sure the basil isn't, you know, like super happy in there. Yes, the bib lettuce. The bib lettuce was in the same in here, but I have removed it and put it in a pool noodle. It's big enough now to, you know, to sit up there on its own, and it is super happy with its stream of water. So now, let's get this basil out and into a pool noodle of its own. Alrighty, little basil. It is day 0. Day 0 for you. I am recycling the perlite because it is expensive to buy and I don't need to be wasting it. Now, I don't see roots coming out like I did with the lettuce. The lettuce had roots coming out all over the place. This looks like it's not as prolific with the roots, but the stem on the basil is good and solid. It is strong. And the perlite on the bottom doesn't look as algae ridden as the perlite on the top. I do see a little, there's some roots there. There we go. Alright, well, in order to not damage this and make sure that the perlite does not wind up in my pump, I'm going to grab some water and rinse off these roots. Come on. It smells good. It smells like good basil. Just gonna wrap this up and put it in my little perlite recycle container along with the netting. There we go. Now, are you going to give up that perlite on it? Well, looks like you are eager to get rid of the perlite as much as I am. Of course, a little bit of perlite, as toss this out in the garden, a little bit of perlite isn't going to do the garden any harm at all. I do need to try to get off as much of this perlite as I can. All right, I'm going to go rinse this off with the hose and be right back. All right, back with sound. The last little bits of perlite out there. Look at these are not as long as I thought they'd be. Normally in soil, on a basil of this age, these roots would be, you know, at least 6 inches, if not longer. But the roots coming off are good and white. There's very little in the way of dark colored roots. These seem to be the only ones. I'm going to try to just peel off a few of the darker colored ones. There's a little patch down here. All the rest of them seem very curled into each other, not reaching out as I thought they would, but they're not bad. And I appreciate that the stem is good and solid, and it's got babies right there. So you go, basil. Let's see, get you into, oh yes, I am going to need a little support for it. All right, back with sound. I forgot my razor, keeping my razor inside because the humidity would make it rust very quickly. Move this to the side so nobody gets cut prematurely. Ah, poor basil. Sorry, buddy. There we go. A nice little nice little slice there. That ought to work okay. Razor back in the safety position. Alrighty, there we go. There, come on. And the roots are going to be a little squished, but I think you'll be okay. Get in there. Go on, go on. There we go. I don't know. I think I might need a thicker, I think I'll probably need a thicker cut of there we go. Yeah, I think that's a thinner at the bottom, thicker at the top. There we go. I like that better. Do you like that better? Go on down. Oh. Too thick. Too thick. There has to be room, of course, for the feeder hose. Basil doesn't like to get too dry. It's a very careful balancing act with basil. All right, I think that's gonna do. That's gonna do for a while. Let's see how she fits. And now this might turn out badly, cause this hole was trimmed. Oh no. Okay, all right. Over here. It's gonna have to be this one. Gonna have to use Jetty McJetface. Go on. These two, remember, these little leaves are only the very first leaves, so it's probably a bit beyond needing those leaves by now. All right. I think that should be okay, although I will have to check it very carefully in a couple of hours. If it's drooping, I'll have to readjust, either make this support thinner or clip off the end of the emitter. But now it is time to talk about this. Yes, this new experiment in seed starting. What I did was I put the window screening into the pool noodle, and I put in just a few pieces of perlite, and on top of the pieces of perlite I put a little slip of paper towel. After that, I just dunked a seed on the paper towel and I let it sit. The seed was in contact with the paper towel, which had this drip emitter. You can see how the drip emitter just drips a little bit, and by putting it onto the side, the paper towel just soaks it up. There's nothing to move the seed around, and although there is algae, the seed germinated, grew really well, and is about to grow its first true leaves. I am really happy with this process. I think I'm going to stick with this for a while until something better comes along, because I don't like dealing with transplants into the hydroponic system. It's fussy, and especially if I'm dealing with soil or huge amounts of perlite, it's just useless. So I'm going to stick with this for now and just use the emitters when the roots obviously need something delicate, or when I'm germinating seeds. Then after it's, well, obviously I will probably not have to move this at all. I can just let that grow right through the window screen, right down into the pool noodle. I may have to change this little emitter out because it may need more water, more nutrients. I'm happy with it though. I am happy so far. Oh, I think I moved the rocks around unintentionally on the Shichimasai greens. But this gives me an opportunity to show you the roots, which are growing very well. And it does not actually seem to mind being moved around or supported in any way. The roots don't actually attach to the rocks. So I can move the rocks around to support it a little better. And then just put the little drip emitter back on it. And it's pretty well good to go. It's happy. And I'm happy. I'm happy that it's happy. And this is where we're at right now. The eggplant, let's see if I can move the light quite away from it. I'm not sure if you can see. It has a flower. It has more flowers over here. So it is trying to, I don't see an ant. I don't like that. It is doing its best to produce something. Now, unfortunately, I still have only the normal amount of nutrients in there, so it's going to find it a little bit of a struggle. Here's the nutrients so far look pretty good. You can still see the pump through the nutrients. The nutrients are a decent color. It's going all right. Next time on Hydroponic Diaries, I'm going to be taking a look at a way to automate my nutrient monitoring levels. And I'm going to do this by looking at a number of YouTube videos by somebody who has created an Arduino system for doing this. I think this is going to be really cheap and effective. It's going to really help me do things on a faster basis for this system.